Miles disappeared into the study to handle some business. That left me trapped on the sofa, dragged into a bridal catalog browsing session by an overly enthusiastic Sierra. She and Miles had just locked down their engagement, gearing up to tie the knot soon. Blair, isn't this one stunning? I glanced at her, then down at the glossy lookbook in her lap. Stunning. What about this one? Another lazy glance. Also stunning. Blair, I heard a crazy rumor that you and Dominic never even had a ceremony. Sierra flipped a page, her tone dripping with manufactured innocence. I took a bite of my apple. The crisp crunch echoed before I bothered to answer. Nope. Sierra covered her mouth in surprise. Wait, Dominic really didn't give you a special day? I shook my head. I didn't want one. My marriage to Dominic was strictly a marriage of convenience. We had no emotional foundation. Right before we signed the papers, he asked me, when do you want to do the ceremony? Church or beach? I harbored zero expectations for this union. We knew of each other, but we had never actually crossed paths before the arrangement. Two total strangers. The thought of swapping rings and kissing a guy I barely knew in front of an officiant just felt pointless. I shot it down instantly. Let's skip it. There's no point. I could still remember his piercing gaze pinning me down at that exact moment. He let the silence stretch before giving a curt nod. Whenever anyone asked, he took the bullet, claiming he was the one who wanted to skip the circus. He shielded me from the fallout. Sierra conveniently ignored my explanation. Every girl deserves that magical moment to feel chosen. She looked at me with a hint of pity. It breaks my heart Dominic would just deny you that experience. I chewed my apple. Defending myself required energy I refused to spend. Miles is practically forcing this massive fairy tale wedding on me. I kept telling him not to burn so much cash, but he absolutely refused. Sierra's tone was coy, pretending to be annoyed, but actually just acting spoiled. He told me he'd never let me regret marrying him, but every single gown in here is gorgeous. It's so overwhelming. The live chat devoured her saccharine performance. Miles literally treats Sierra like royalty, here for this pure energy. They're so obsessed with each other. The contrast is brutal. Look at Blair sulking. Of course she's bitter. She's stuck in a loveless PR stunt. Bet Dominic was the one who refused to drop a dime on a wedding. Blair, my brain is turning to mush. Pick one for me. Sierra slid the heavy book over to me. I flipped through a handful of pages and tapped a random silk number. This one works. Sierra barely glanced at it. The waistline lacks structure. She took the book back and closed it. Never mind. I'll just wait for Miles to help me pick. He never settles for basic. She seamlessly pivoted to her next target. Blair, did Dominic not even bother to buy you a wedding ring? Sierra's gaze dropped to my left hand. A plain metal band sat on my ring finger. It bore a strange, jagged crest, the kind of cheap trinket you'd dig out of a thrift store bargain bin. He did. I stared down at the band. On the day we signed the papers, I found 2 rings waiting on my nightstand. One of them featured a blinding, suffocatingly massive diamond. Chapter 3. The second option was this dull metal band. Dominic told me to choose. I thought it looked hideous, but the massive diamond was just too impractical to wear. I grabbed the plain one. That's it? Did Dominic find that in a Dollar Tree clearance bin? Just kidding, Blair. Don't take it personally. Sierra flashed a playful pout at the lens. She extended her hand, flashing a rock the size of a golf ball. Miles's engagement ring. I literally begged Miles not to drop this kind of cash. It's so heavy, but he's obsessed. He wouldn't take no for an answer. Now he's forcing me to pick a wedding band even bigger than this. She pushed the catalog toward me. Blair, help me out. Sure. I flipped the heavy pages. Miles emerged from the study. He slung an arm over Sierra's shoulder, pressing a kiss to her temple. How's the ring hunt going, babe? Sierra leaned into him. Blair's helping me. She traced a finger over Miles's collarbone. Honestly, I feel awful that Dominic never got her a real ring. Why don't we buy her one? You know, as a makeup gift. She waited for him to validate her performative pity. Instead, Miles's gaze flicked to my left hand. He scoffed. Sierra, you have no idea what she's wearing. That dull metal band is the family signet, the absolute authority of the matriarch. He tapped the catalog. As long as that ring is on her finger, she speaks for Dominic. She basically owns Manhattan. Sierra's smile faded. She froze for a second. The way she looked at the ring shifted, filled with intense scrutiny and a trace of greedy longing. I blinked. That hideous thing held that much power? Dominic never mentioned a word. I literally just picked it because it didn't snag on my clothes. The live stream chat completely derailed. Wait, I knew that wasn't a cheap knockoff. That's the family crest. And y'all said Dominic didn't claim her. He gave her the keys to the entire empire. Don't be sad, Sierra. You'll get yours when you marry in. She literally won't. There's only one matriarch. Unless Dominic drops dead, Miles gets nothing. Why does Blair get it? Sierra deserves it just as much. Because Blair is the heir's wife? Cry about it. Jealousy bubbled up inside Sierra. She couldn't tear her eyes away from my hand. Sierra, you good? Miles frowned. She forced a tight laugh, practically dragging him to the opposite end of the sectional. I caught Dominic in his study late that night. The workaholic had his laptop angled toward him, the screen glowing in the dim room. He was watching the unedited live stream footage from this morning. Come here. I crossed the room. Before I could process his movement, his large hands gripped my waist, hauling me straight onto his lap. 3 years of marriage. Year 1, we lived like ghosts haunting the same sprawling house. He lived on private jets. I built my own empire. We crossed paths maybe twice a year. Then came New Year's Eve. I sat with Franklin and Meredith in the estate's massive living room, watching the Times Square ball drop. Fireworks shattered the dark sky beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. The front door clicked open. Dominic stood in the foyer, a heavy black overcoat draped over his shoulders, a sleek leather weekender bag resting at his feet. Meredith swore he wouldn't be back from London until the second week of January. Yet here he was, acting purely on instinct with his parents around. I crossed the room and slipped the heavy wool coat from his shoulders. My fingers brushed his collar. His muscles locked instantly. I froze. He stared down at me, his breath hitching. After that night, Dominic slowed down his pace. We gradually settled into a peaceful and stable married life. By now, I was so used to our routine that a simple curl of his finger had me dropping right onto his lap in his private study. You never warned me this ring carried that much weight. I slid the plain band off my finger, holding the dull metal up to the harsh glare of his desk lamp, tracing the tiny engraved crest. He handed it over like an afterthought back then. I wore it like one. I had no idea this hideous piece of metal held the keys to Manhattan. Dominic captured my wrist, plucking the ring from my grasp and sliding it right back into place. The metal means nothing. His thumb dragged across my knuckles, tracing a vein. It's only important because you wear it. Franklin and Meredith carved out time for a rare family dinner the next evening. The invasive camera lenses dotted around the dining room set them on edge, but they played along. Dominic even clocked out on time for once. He towed off his Oxfords in the foyer. A greedy cameraman whipped the lens toward the entryway, catching a single second of footage before snapping back. Even though it was just a 1-second pause, it still sent the viewers into a frenzy. Wait, that's Dominic. God, he's gorgeous. Miles is cute, but Dominic has that terrifying billionaire CEO aura. It's over for us. Blair won the lottery. With a man looking like that, I wouldn't care about a wedding either. Thirst trap viewers flooded the chat, drowning out the regular gossip. At the dining table, Sierra played the perfect, sweet future daughter-in-law, keeping the atmosphere light. Then Meredith caught me stifling a yawn. Her gaze dropped straight to my stomach. Still no good news for us yet? Here we go. The classic toxic rich family baby trap. Meredith definitely hates Blair. Interrogating her on live TV. She's throwing shade. Probably trying to warn Sierra to get pregnant fast. I shot Dominic a look. He sliced his steak, acting entirely oblivious to the crossfire. Meredith, that's a question for him. I kicked the ball into Dominic's court, flashing him a loaded glare. Meredith pinned her eldest son with an expectant stare. Dominic met my eyes. His gaze was calm. We're putting in the work, aiming for back-to-back pregnancies. I choked on my water. My hand dove under the mahogany table, gripping his thigh. My fingers met solid muscle. It felt like grabbing a marble pillar. I mouthed at him. What the hell are you doing? We had a deal. No timeline on kids. His large, warm palm swallowed my hand under the mahogany table. I couldn't pull my hand away, so I shot him an angry glare. Dominic simply held my gaze. His lips barely moved as he mouthed a silent command. Stop. A faint, maddening smirk shadowed his otherwise ruthless features. Meredith caught our silent crossfire. A knowing smile curved her lips before she casually slid a heavy, matte black Centurion card across the table toward me. Blair, sweetie, you've had an exhausting week. Go treat yourself. If you hit the limit, just text me. The last black card she handed me carried an obscene 7-figure limit. I hadn't even dented it yet. This one probably held double. Sierra stared at the sleek titanium card, raw envy bleeding through her sweet facade. But without a ring cementing her to Miles, she couldn't exactly demand her own. You're so lucky, Blair. Sierra forced a bright, sugary smile. His mother treats you exactly like her own daughter. Meredith beamed, practically glowing with pride. Of course she does. Having Blair in this family is an absolute privilege. Sierra's smile fractured. Catching the slip, Meredith quickly smoothed it over. You're lovely too, of course, Sierra. Miles immediately rushed to his fiance's rescue. Don't stress, babe. My mom is incredibly generous. Once we tie the knot, you'll get the exact same treatment. Sierra's saccharine smile finally snapped back into place. Thank you, Meredith. Thanks, Mom. I swept the black card off the table without a second thought. My private slush fund just got a massive upgrade. I was so incredibly thrilled that I absent-mindedly chewed and swallowed the roasted carrot Dominic had sneaked onto my plate, a vegetable I absolutely despised. Watching me, Dominic calmly speared another carrot and dropped it directly onto my pristine porcelain plate. I glared at him. He didn't even blink, his focus completely locked on his steak. I shoved the vegetable to the edge of my plate and ignored him. The live chat lost their minds. A mother-in-law who just throws unlimited black cards at you? Goals. Living for these Dominic and Blair crumbs. The eye contact. I am screaming. You guys are desperate. Sierra and Miles are literally giving us a real romance.